So we came together February of 2021. I just felt like it was important for us to not just come and talk, but that we have this 7-day fast. So we just, from the time, we knew Reggie was going to come, hey, let's back that up 7 days. And so we did that. And it was great. But then we had, a meeting, and, we came together to see, like, all right, so what happened? And when we got together and had a discussion, Cheryl, what was some of the things that we, kind of all had similarly that had bubbled to the surface?
Yeah, I think two of the big ones were hub.
Yeah, a hub facility.
Yep. And empowerment, black empowerment, real estate, multiplication, sending.
Yep.
Unity, which is a big one. Training and development. So those are some of the kind of, and economics.
Yep.
So those are some of the kind of the key words that had jumped out at us.
Yeah, and I think, the empowerment piece is just huge, and we'll have more time to kind of unpack that and talk about that a little bit more. But part of the reason for coming together was not so that we could just have some cool churches, in the city, and we could just have a dope Sunday morning, gathering. No, we want to have real impact in the city. Right. Like we want, one of my visions has always been wouldn't it be great if, the city had a specific challenge or issue, and they felt like, we need to go, to Hope, or we need to go to Epiphany, or we need to go to some church in the city because they will help us, with this problem. Right. And not just one problem, but multiple problems, because we are a trusted entity, in the city. Right. And I think, just developing that credibility, having that city transformation, component in mind was, I think, resonating for all of us.
Yeah, and the thing with Baltimore is Baltimore is it's not easy to do a lot of the things. Maybe if you've done ministry in the South or different places, it can feel like other places easier to get things done.
Right.
But that's why it's but there's so much potential in Baltimore as well.
Right.
And we didn't want to be let's just keep running the same plays that have been run in the city, and you keep getting the same outcomes. No, let's do something that's going to be drastically different so that we can see the dreams and desires that we came to see.
Right.
And so we wanted, like you said, that radical influence and that ability to really see people's lives impacted with the gospel and the good news, but doing it in a way that was not conventional.
Right. Well, and then I think Reggie, you were coming from, a church in Texas where you were doing some of this kind of empowerment and city engagement type stuff that we were talking about. So touch a little bit on that, because I think that was a big part of this this whole conversation as well.
Yeah, and so when we talk about empowerment, talking about upper mobility, right?
Yeah.
What are the things that the church could step into that really helps people's lives change, and that their economic status, their mental health status, their family holistically is changed forever, and that the church needs to be the leading voice in that. And so when we all came together, I think that was the beauty, is that we saw that. And we saw that, hey, how can we radically change or flip the script? And that, we're not just kind of trying to prepare for this Sunday service or to have the dopest Sunday worship experience, but we want people to see us working throughout the week to help them get to where they are. And I think that's what makes this, we have no egos. I think that's the beauty of it. There's no hidden motive except to see lives change. And that's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and I think I'm a real strategic thinker, and I'm just trying to figure out and I believe in efficiency. So I'm trying to get the most.
Yes, you do.
I'm trying to get the most out of we knew Reggie was coming in town and we were gonna have this gathering, or this meeting. So another thing that we did, since we kind of all had this, it was just confirmed that we had this viewpoint on empowerment and city transformation, that we should try to go see some examples of that. You mentioned earlier, the DC Dream Center. Right. I'm coming from National Community Church, and Pastor Mark Batterson and those guys, doing a lot of great stuff in the city. And so we knew of the Epicenter, this part of Mountain Christian Church. Shout out to Daryl. for helping us, giving us a tour. So we all went. We went, and I remember we actually took a photo together, and we kind of like marked that as a moment. But we got a chance to go to the Epicenter, which is basically a community hub, basically is what it is. And they're doing like after school programs, actually before and after school programming. They got like camps and like they're helping people who need showers. Anybody can come take a shower. They need off the street. And so we went to go see that, sit down with them, and as we were kind of trying to figure out like what would this look like, for us. So that was cool. And then this was kind of cool. We just kind of, I guess it was last minute, but it was planned. But the Good Friday service, So I don't know, Charlie. You talk about that. You threw that idea out there.
No, the big event for all of us as pastors and planners is Easter Sunday.
Super Bowl
Sunday. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're gonna get your mode. That's when you put a lot of energy to kind of get you whatever. But so why don't we just start to experiment? And I think that's one of the things that is hard for pastors and church planners and ministry leaders to think through, because everything feels like it's eternal and it's got to be, it's got to be done right, and we only get one shot.
Right.
But, we are given opportunities to experiment and try things out. And so if we going to try to link up and merge this thing, let's try an experiment first.
Hey, this is a test run, Doc. Let's see
how
this thing runs.
Let's see how it goes, and to get our people in the same room, to worship Jesus together. And if if it don't work, all right, we can go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And Easter Sunday's coming; it'll wash it all away.
Right.
But let's just get together in the room and just get a feel for. So Reggie wasn't here yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? And Trev was that meant integrating our teams together in some regard.
Right.
To see what this thing could feel like. So Trev, you recall any specific memories?
Yeah, it was interesting, man. To like.
Well, you got to unpack that, because interesting, could be
was,
code for some.
Yeah, it was. Oftentimes in church planting, what Smokey Mama say? Like, oh, this ain't enough.
Right.
Make it enough. Like that is the culture of church planting. Like, yo, we ain't got no one to sing, no one to play an instrument, but we gonna do 4 songs on Sunday. How's it gonna work? It's gonna make it work.
Right.
So it was crazy to go from and we've had momentum, and my wife has been doing well to do a lot of development stuff, but to like triple the size of our team overnight was crazy.
Right.
Like, and just that piece is one of the pieces that stuck out to me the most, and that's what helped even for me. That's what I was like, oh, this is what collaboration feels like.
Well, and it was like so seamless,
bro.
That's the thing. Like it was fun.
It was
and back to the part about just confirmation. Not to cut you off. The big part was the feedback. That was the piece, because collaboration on the leadership level is one thing.
Right.
We gonna be in a room, we gonna plot, we gonna plan.
Right.
But the big thing was, what's the feedback gonna be from the actual people in the room? Because Trev and Melissa and the worship team is gonna do their thing. We know that's gonna be dope. Pastor Trev and Josh are gonna do their thing. We gonna get that right. But we need to know what these folks are thinking. And for us, I think at our church has been here 5 years or whatever it's been, to hear their response in such positive language was really important for us. And it was like, man, that was just incredible.
Yeah.
Like we've done collaborative services with other groups before.
Yep.
And that level of positivity was not there. You know what I mean? Oh, praise the Lord. Yeah. That was, hey, you get that kind of stuff. But this one it had a different tone to it.
Yeah, it was. Go ahead, Rich.
No, I think it was also the posture y'all took beforehand. I mean, I wasn't there, but I remember just the conversation of, we're holding this loosely.
Yeah, that's true.
We're just holding this loosely. I mean, we want to see what God's going to do. We want to see if God's in this. And I think y'all all demonstrated that in y'all's leadership. And it just trickled down to everything else. But it was just that, which I try to remember as we're going through this process of just holding everything loosely, right?
Yeah.
Like no tight grip on it,
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Reg, because I think the holding it loosely is like, and we're talking about like how we feel like God has confirmed this along the way, and we're telling a little bit of that story. The confirmation you know, or the moments of confirmation weren't necessarily like signaling that we're supposed to merge. It really was just a confirmation that we need to keep taking the next step. You know, and that's all we tried to do. And with everything that we were doing, it's like, okay, well, let's just keep taking the next step. And that's in part what holding it loosely means. And so, I mean, there's a couple other things that happen, like the three of us, you know, Charlie, Trev, myself, Reggie wasn't with us yet, but, you know, we went down to Charleston, South Carolina, and hung out with Pastor Greg Surratt, and, you know, it was at the retreat at Church Creek. It's like a pastor's collective, and, man, we had some conversation there, some stuff bubbled to the surface that we ain't necessarily wanted to get out yet, but, like, it just kind of happened, you know. But shout out to Pastor Greg for just, you know, really speaking into, you know, what we were talking about, and giving us some confidence that it made sense. And then, you know, I also think, like, you know, Proverbs 11:14 and 15:22 basically say the same thing, and it's without counsel, purposes are disappointed, and people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. So I think that's also what we tried to do as well. Is like have these conversations, you know, with people that we trust, that know us. You know, we have some internal, you know, conversations between us as well. Just to try to make sure that we're supposed to keep, you know, taking those steps, and that's basically how, you know, how it went, and along the way we just kept getting, you know, confirmations.